yeah, I mean, we could have a truck coming the next day with those things on it. You'd be like, "Well, we probably need it for tonight." Look at a quote
I've
that we
spoken about that on here many, many
yeah,
times about
yeah.
how and I didn't get somebody to drive me to work every single day.
Mm-mm.
It was a lot, but not every day. And there were a lot of
No.
days where, I've spoken about how, we would have 50 pounds of onions in the cooler, and I would have to go to the store to go get onions, or because we always had special dinners and stuff like that too. So
Yeah.
I'd have to go to the store and go get cheese for an event, and I had to leave before, because the liquor stores close here at 7. So I'd have to run to the store every day before, you know 6 o'clock, so I could get to the liquor store to get my liquor every single day. And I'd be in there having about to panic because I knew the liquor store was going to close, and man, if I didn't have my booze before the end of the day, like, it was going to be a bad day. And I had to have it for that night. And there were also days, like, I remember one time you and I left to go to the store or something, and like we stopped
Went to
by.
the Mexican restaurant.
Went to a Mexican restaurant and had a couple shots of tequila and a couple of tall beers, and
Chips and dip.
I think we ate a little bit of chips and dip.
We
Um,
never
eh,
went to the store.
no, we never went to the store. We ended up getting like super buzzed up, and then went back to the club and did dinner that night.
Yeah, the other cook that was we had a lunch cook there, and he was supposed to be off by a certain time, and we were like, "Well, we have to go to the store together," and we were like an hour and a half late, and he was so mad because he was just there by himself. And then
Yeah,
yeah, we did dinner that night, and let me tell you, cooking in a hot kitchen drunk is not fun at all because then it
no.
wears off, and now you're cleaning and scrubbing and doing all this stuff, and you're not feeling good now, and it was not a pleasant experience.
Oh, I'm sure that we continued to drink probably through the rest of that night.
Probably we did have that little liquor shelf in there.
Yeah, yeah. There was we would have beers and stuff like that, that we would bring in and drink those. And I always had alcohol no matter what. There was alcohol in my office, there was alcohol in my vehicle at all times. I would have alcohol in my backpack, like you said. I had alcohol hidden in the croquet bathroom. Um that's the funny thing, because you said you wanted to talk about that too, about how I used to go to the Christopher Columbus bathroom all the time, um,
Yeah,
which was like my private restroom. And
yeah.
I've spoken about, I actually just told a story about that the other day on here, because that little bathroom out there didn't have an air conditioner in it, and like, you couldn't even change your mind in that bathroom. It was so small. I mean, it
Yeah.
was like teeny tiny. It was like a sink that like kind of stuck out. Like, if you were sitting on the toilet, like, you could rest your arms on the sink, and it would get like 1,000 degrees in there, and I would spend hours in that bathroom. Um,
That's why none of us would ever go out there. None of us used that bathroom ever.
yeah,
That was your bathroom because it was small, gross, sweaty. You
yeah,
were sick, throwing up. That was like your little sanctuary to go
it
when
was,
you.
man.
Yeah.
And my stomach was always wrecked. So I was like always in the bathroom, blowing it up. And I'd get there in the morning first thing. And the thing about it is that, alcohol wrecks your stomach so bad. Like, before I'd even left the house that day to go to work, I'd already been in the bathroom, for an hour, 2 hours here. And then I'd get to work, and then, as soon as I arrived that morning, I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I'd be back in the bathroom again. Then we'd do lunch, and then as soon as lunch was over, I was in the bathroom again. I mean, as soon as that last plate went out for lunch, I was back in the bathroom. And then I'd be in the bathroom all afternoon, and then, we go into dinner service, and as soon as dinner service is over, I was right back in the bathroom again. I mean, I spent so much time in that bathroom. And I was just telling a story the other day. I was telling you this earlier, that about the time, and I don't know if you knew about this or not, but I was in that bathroom, like I said, I'd gotten so sweaty that I slipped off the toilet and fell on the floor. Um, Dude, that I would get so hot in there, man. You're already like super hot and sweaty when you go out there anyway, because we've been in the kitchen. I've told everybody here on the channel that that kitchen didn't have an air conditioner in there.
No, it had window units.
It didn't even have
Yeah,
those window units didn't happen until like right before I left.
yeah. And then the humidity outside was just turn that bathroom and that kitchen into a sauna.
Yeah, it
It
did.
was extremely cold in the winter and extremely hot and wet during the summer.
Yep. And
It was not ventilated.
those little window units that we had too that finally got put in there. I mean,
Didn't
they
work.
didn't do do you any good unless you were standing in front of the air conditioning unit.
Yeah, and the other one just iced over all the time, so that one just stopped working half the time anyway.
Yeah. And I always set my whenever I was, prepping or doing any kind of work, I always took that area in front of the air
Oh yeah,
conditioning unit.
yeah,
I was the chef, so I got the best area in the kitchen,
yeah.
and I always felt like crap. So like, I was always about to throw up. Speaking of throwing up, I just told the story the other day too about my throw up tomato plant that was out there.
Yeah, that was
Uh,
awesome. That
I-
thing grew every year. It would come back.
it came back every single year.
So that outside cooler that he was talking about on the other side was about a foot gap between the cooler and some lattice that was put up. Is that how you call it? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's what it
Um,
is.
so he would just stick his head in between those things and get sick right there. And he had a tomato sandwich one time, I guess.
No,
And
no, I was in there
was
eating grape tomatoes while I was cutting them up.
oh but yeah, after that, that plant started growing, and we just kind of left it. And then every year, it would just come back in that same spot and get taller. I ended up taking zip ties and like zip tying it to the lattice, so it would like grow like
Oh, did
this
you?
little tomato vine. Yeah, we never used the tomatoes in the restaurant. We never did that. Our housekeeper would take them home. She
You know,
loved it.
what's funny about that is that I wouldn't even eat tomatoes off of that plant because I thought it was gross. But it's not like those tomatoes like had throw up in them or anything. It's just one of the seeds from throwing up right
Yeah,
there. Decided to grow one day, and it came
yeah,
back every single year.
every year.
And
It
that
was really
plant would
weird.
get humongous. You know
Yeah.
what? You know what's funny about that? And I'm not even kidding. Since I threw up that tomato and that plant came back, I had this like warped idea in my head that since that tomato plant survived as long as it did, that I was going to survive. I'm not kidding. I had this
Mhm.
idea in my head like, I threw up that tomato plant, it keeps coming back, it makes it every year. I kind of like aligned myself with that plant as like I'm invincible like that plant is because I honestly thought that I was like invincible during that period of time. I
Yeah.
really, really did. I did not think that one, I would ever get sick, and two, I didn't think the alcohol was going to be what would take me out. I just thought for some reason I was going to like live forever and continue to drink the way that I was forever, which was,
Which is crazy that you thought that during that time that you're invincible, especially with the stomach issues and the gout and all the other things happening. So you had those health things already going on, and then to
yeah,
think that you were invincible through what was already happening is just shows how strong the mind can be, I guess, in addiction. When it's strong and weak at the same time. You know what I mean? Because people will do anything for addiction. You know what I mean?
oh yeah,
Alcohol or drugs. And they will convince themselves and change their mentality. Like just you said, I was invincible. I could do anything. But at the same time, your feet are swelling. You're sick to your stomach all the time. So like that wasn't true. But that mentality in your head,
yeah,
because the want to drink and the urge to drink made you feel like that, or just I guess ignore the signs. You know what I mean? It's really easy to ignore the obvious when you're intoxicated.
yeah. I've told people here too that I used to weigh 250 pounds.
Yeah.
I was a big guy back then. And you can validate that.
Yeah.
Um, so we've spoken about COVID at this point, and we had a couple points we wanted to bring up today. Uh, we talked about the tomato plant.
Hmm.
Um, why don't you tell everybody that time? Because I've told this story too about the time that we were on my tractor. We were here at my
Oh, nice.
house,
Yeah.
and we were here drinking because
Yeah.
I've told people on here, um, that I've like should have lost my life like a bunch of times. 'cause I would get drunk and do like really stupid stuff.
Right.
Um, I don't know why, but for some reason I would get to drinking and I had to like just do like the most ridiculous, crazy things, and I was like a cat, man. It's like I had 9 lives. Um, but why don't you tell them that time that we were here, we were drinking that night, and we were on the
Oh yeah.
tractor, and what happened?
So I want to preface this story with something else I had mentioned when we talked earlier. I think we talked about it. Um, you've spoken in your videos about how there comes a point in your alcoholism or addiction where your health declines, and sometimes that's a wake up call to start over and change. I don't know if you've gotten to the time or the point where like sometimes it's something really bad that happens. So sometimes there's an end point in addiction where, like, I don't know, maybe you're drunk driving and you kill somebody in a car. Maybe you're playing with the gun and it goes off. So I feel like that tractor story, that could have been one of those nights for both of us,
Yeah,
where it wouldn't have been a health issue. It was going to be something catastrophic that,
yeah,
you could have lost your life. I could have ended up in prison, and it was just over us being dumb and drunk. So that could
yeah,
have been one of those life-changing points where like something really bad happened, and now our way of life is completely different or not existent.
yeah. Because that could have ended.
So
We could have both ended up in wheelchairs the rest of our life, or
yeah, or it could, I was with you, we were operating machinery under the influence, and I'll get to the part where it got bad. But like, if you had lost your life that night, or if I had been hurt or something, either one of us could have been in the jail, hospital, whatever. Um, so yeah, so we're drinking at your house. We're tying one off pretty hard. Um, you had the bright idea of, hey, let's drive the tractor. I'm kind of from the city. I've never driven a tractor in my life. Never been on one. I don't like them. I definitely don't like them after this.
yeah,
Um, it's a single seat tractor. So I've got like my right butt cheek on one side of the seat. You've got yours on the other side of the seat. You're controlling the gas. I'm controlling the brake and steering. Um,
this was
when we
not a
talk
good
about it out
idea.
loud, it sounds so stupid.
It does.
Now I know people don't know your property. You have a long, hilly, dirty driveway.
Yeah,
It's almost like a mountain driveway. It's up and down, and every time it rains, the driveway changes into a different shape and direction.
yeah,
Um, so it's dark out, and we're in the woods. You can't really see well. And we start hitting this tractor down the driveway, and he's got the lights on, but he's got the bucket right in front of our view.
yeah,
So he's controlling the bucket. So I'm like, you got to put it up or down. I can't see anything. And I think you put it down. We get to the end of the driveway, and you're like, turn around in that grass. Well, the driveway comes straight, and there's a little grass berm that goes up like that.
yeah,
So we turn, I turn, we get up it good. But when I come down the back tire of the tractor, so I'm coming down diagonal, it slides like this. And when that tractor slides, he goes flying off of it. Face plants in the dirt. His drink, he had a drink in his hand. Drink goes everywhere. All of a sudden, I just hear the thud and like the wind get knocked out of you. Tractor sliding like this. I look over. You're on the ground. I jerk the wheel and kind of got it away a little bit. Hit the brake, put it in park real fast, and you got up. Dusted yourself off. But had that tractor continued to tip, you would have been right under the wheel. The wheels are huge in the back.
yeah.
You would have been right under that wheel. I would have fallen off. We were what, quarter mile away from your house? How long's your driveway? Quarter mile,
It's
something
a
like
long
that.
driveway.
It's a long driveway. I don't think I had my cell phone on
I
me.
I always say it's like a mile long. I mean,
It's it's long.
it's long.
So I would have had to run back. His wife had already told us don't do this. We didn't listen. Um, Luckily I didn't, because I didn't have my phone. We would have had to go all the way back, or I would have had to run back, tell your wife what happened. You also live out in the country, so emergency services would have been a long ways out.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have been able to get the tractor off you. Um, so yeah, that's one of those dumb decisions that, like, we giggled about right now, but I'm like still shaking my head over. You know what I mean? Like, it was stupid. It could have gone really, really, really bad for both of us.
yeah.
Um, but we had the liquid courage. You know what I mean? Oh, let's have fun. Let's do this. Blah blah blah. And like, I wouldn't do that sober. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
heck no, we never would have done that sober. And the thing is,
yeah,
like, it was my idea because I used to get those wild ideas all the time when I was intoxicated, and the most stupid ideas sounded like the most awesome ideas when I was drinking. and
Yeah.
then you almost flipped the tractor over. I fell off face first into the ground, and the tractor almost rolled over on top of me. And the reason I
Yeah.
fell off the tractor is because the tractor tipped over on its side, and I fell
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
And like we came that close
So
to,
close.
yeah, to both of us almost losing our life that night. Because if it had actually tipped over, it would have rolled over on top of you too. There wouldn't have
Yeah.
been. I would have. It definitely would have rolled over on me.
The wheels would have been on you, and I was on the left side of the tractor that was rolling to the right, so I would have been thrown or whatever. It was a good distance you fell.
Yeah. No, I hit the dirt hard.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once again, did we come back and tell my wife what happened, or we stay quiet?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the thing
I don't
too.
know.
There you go. We were so intoxicated that neither one of us remembers what happened after that.
I don't think I stayed around much longer after that. I think I asked if you were good, and you were like, "Dude, I need to go to bed" or something like that. You're like, "Tonight's over." And I was like, "No, that's a great idea."
Speaking of, since you bring that up, speaking of, about, going to bed, uh, yeah, I've talked about this on here a bunch of times about how when I would have people over, I would just get up and just go to bed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say anything to anybody. I just would go pass out.
Yeah.
And we're not talking at like 10, 11 o'clock at night. You know, you guys would come over here to hang out with me, go, yeah, and I don't live close to town. Like, I live out in the middle of nowhere. So, first of all, it was a 30-minute drive for you to get all the way out here. You guys would come out to hang out. Or you would hang out with me in my old house too, but,
Yeah.
which was in town. But you guys would come over to hang out, and depending on how much I'd had to drink that day, you might have been there for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden I just get up and go to the bedroom, close the door, and you'd be like, "Where'd he go?" I was
Yeah. And the sun
pass
would
out.
still be up too.
Yeah, I would pass out.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the night of my going away party yet, have we?
Right. No, not yet.
So I've told this story on here. I think I just told it just the other day. That I gave 3 months notice at my job, and you know d- the last day of working at the club, we had all planned on having a party. It wasn't the last day, or was it a day, like another day later? Was it a couple
I'm
days
not.
after
No, because we were all at work, and then well, you know what? I don't know. Was it the day that you had the going away party there, where all the membership came? You shook hands with everybody and then left.
No, because I didn't get out of there until late, and I had to cook for all
Okay.
that too.
Oh, it may have been a day off then.
Yeah, I had to cook for my going away party at the club. Like, seriously? That's the kind of
Yeah.
stuff that used to go on there. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, it wasn't that night. But it must have been like a couple of days later after I'd already
Yeah.
left. But once again, you guys all came over, and it was the whole entire kitchen staff came over to hang out over here that night. We were going to have a party, because I had recently left, and you guys were here for what, half an hour, and I just disappeared.
It wasn't long, and what happened was we were all sitting outside at the table in your front yard,
Yeah.
and we were hanging out, and you were sitting there, and man, we were kind of giggling because like you were just zoned out. You know what I mean? Like you were sitting there. I think you were falling asleep at the table, honestly. And you get up and you stumble into the house, and then you open the door, and then you call for Juice. You're like, "Hey, Juice, come here." Had a conversation with him at your front door. Juice comes back and he's like, "All right, guys, wrap it up. We're out of here." And we were like, "What? We just got here." And he's like, "Yeah, Chef's going to bed." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And we all, I think maybe went to my place or something like that and hung out. But yeah, we were there not long at all. We are like, "Geez."
Yeah. Once again, it's the
Yeah.
kind of things that I used to do back in the day. All of you guys, and we had been talking about this party for months.
Oh, oh, it was supposed to be epic. We were supposed to like barbecue and cook and hang out and all this stuff, and none of that even got put into fruition.
Yeah, that's the kind of person I used to be. I was, a big letdown all the time. I always would have these like really great, we would blow these things up and be talking about it forever. We're gonna have this great time. We're gonna do this and this and this, and then I would just get completely wasted and then pass out. And party over. And that used to happen all the time, not just with like my parties, but like, because I used to do a lot of camping back in the day, you know that. And,
Yeah.
I would go on these camping trips and, it's supposed to be this, epic camping trip, and we're going to be hanging out the whole time. And man, I would just wake up in the morning and start drinking and be passed out by noon. And then I just slept the rest of the day. And it was like every day would be that. So, opposed to me like going and like having these really awesome camping trips, I just would wake up in the morning, drink until I got totally wasted, pass out, and I slept the whole entire time. Like that's all it ever became. And that's all my life was during that period of time was just getting wasted and just passing out. That's all I ever did. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously, that was my entire life. And I don't know, it's really depressing when I think about it now. Uh, because I just did a video the other day about all the wasted time that I'll never get back. Because I did, man.
Yeah.
I wasted years and years away. I mean, I think there's like seriously like a decade, like a whole decade that I don't remember that much of. I mean, I really don't, and really the only thing I really remember from that 10 years was going to work because that was about as sober as I ever was.
Yeah, and I wanted to clarify on that because we're telling all these stories about work and drinking and leaving work to go drink, and we only went that one time to leave work and go get a drink in the middle of work. We did that one time.
Yeah.
Now whether you had like mini bottles in your backpack, um, I don't want it to sound like we were just at work trash 24/7. Like no,
No.
we did huge weddings at work. We did holidays, functions, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you always held it down. You were always there. So I don't want people thinking that you were just some drunk stumbling at work all the time. 'Cause that wasn't the case. You were very professional, a teacher. You had that job down to a science. We would do all the inventory together. And so you were very good at what you did. It was very admirable what you did. You really had your profession down to a T.
I
um
appreciate that.
yeah, of course, man. I learned a lot from you, and like the things we did there were pretty amazing. We did wine dinners, we did all kinds of functions. We would do like an around the world where we do a different cuisine once a month. All kinds of alcohol pairings. Like we did a lot of really cool stuff at that club.
Yeah, it
um
was. It was a really
and
cool
so
job.
like your alcoholism may have been kind of hidden and tucked away during that time, but your professionalism was always there. And leaving work early here and there, it wasn't an everyday thing that you did that. So I just want
Yeah.
to make that clear to everything, everyone. And like you said, getting dropped off every day wasn't an everyday thing. Once, twice a week, on a bad week, 3, 4 times, if that happened. You know what I mean? So it
Yeah.
wasn't it wasn't just some crazy party at work all the time. It was a pretty good establishment and a pretty good, work environment. So
Well,
I just want to clear that up.
I really appreciate you clearing that up. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, I was a highly functioning alcoholic, man. Like
Yeah.
I drank every single day, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. And you guys didn't see everything that was going on behind the scenes.
Right.
I woke up every morning and made myself a drink before I went to work, man. Even
Well, you
if
did you did hide it well in the morning then. You did hide it well.
Yeah, I mean, because there were mornings we had to go there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning because we had a wedding going on that day,
Yeah.
and we had to get up and go in there super early. Dude, I was drinking before I went in there early in the morning.
Yeah.
I was just a highly functioning alcoholic. I mean, I really was. I had figured out how to hide it from everybody. I mean, I really had. Uh,
I guess when you get to a point in your addiction, it becomes your new normal too.
it
You know
does.
what I mean?
It
It becomes your new normal.
it it
So
re- it, it really
it changes
does.
your lifestyle too. So that's just kind of I guess what you are, and if you're consistent with how you are every day, I guess it's hard for other people to see that there's something else going on.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, man. Because like, I would get up in the morning and have a drink or two, but that was to get the shakes to go away.
Yeah.
Uh, because when I woke up in the morning, I mean, Zach, I'm be honest with you, man. I would wake up 3 o'clock in the morning and would have to make myself a drink just to keep the shakes from being so bad when I woke up at 6. And,
Yeah.
I would wake up at 5 or 6 o'clock a.m., make myself another drink, and I would be shaking so bad that I couldn't even hold the bottle anymore. I had to start buying plastic bottles because I would drop the glass bottle. Uh, my shakes were that bad in the morning. So I was really just trying to get You know, if here is like being very sick and shaky, I was just trying to get here to normal again. So, you know, what would get most people like knocked off their socks, completely drunk, uh, just got me back to like being a normal person. And, I was trying to get to homeostasis every day. That's all I was trying to do. So, I was drinking every single morning, but that's who you guys knew was that
Yeah,
guy. And I really was. I was just trying to get, I wasn't trashed per se. I was just trying to get back to baseline, is all I was trying to do because my body needed the alcohol that bad. Because if I didn't have it, man, I was sick. And, there were a lot of mornings too where I'd like, because I threw up every single day. I threw up every single day, man. And, there were mornings when I would get up, throw up, and then I would make myself a drink. And as I'm trying to get that drink down, I would projectile vomit it right back out. I was literally forcing this poison down my throat, just to feel okay. I mean, it had gotten that bad. And just looking back on it now, I mean, it makes me feel sick, like
yeah,
literally, like physically ill thinking about those times when I used to like be pouring vodka down my throat when I felt so sick already. Like, I'd already just gotten up and thrown up, and here I am, just threw up like 2 seconds before that, and I'm pouring this stuff right back down my throat again. Like, what in the world? Well, what was going through my mind? I guess it was just the addiction. I mean, I was so deep in my addiction. It was
I,
crazy.
I don't think I ever saw you eat at work either.
I've talked
And
about
so
that.
so I think that, when you're drinking before work, you're drinking on your way to work, sneaking drinks at work, it was just straight alcohol in your stomach. I don't think I because we would make staff meal twice a day. We would make staff meal for lunch around 11 o'clock, and we would make staff meal for dinner at 5 o'clock for everybody
Yeah,
to eat something different every day. And I don't think very rarely did I ever see you have a meal or stop and eat anything really.
yeah, no,
Uh, my thing, if I was out drinking all night, the one thing I would do, and you'd call me on this all the time, I would walk in there and I'd grab a cup of soup
yep,
every day. And
yep,
you'd be like, you were out last night, weren't you? I'm like, how can you tell? You're like, you walk in and get soup. It's the first thing you do is walk in and get soup. So I always wanted
yeah,
something in my stomach.
yep.
But I never saw you do that.
No, I never ate.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had a meal at work.
I don't think so. Very rare that I saw
If
you eat.
if I ate something, it was like, we were slicing up steak for a plate or something that we were doing, like a wine dinner or something. I might have a piece of steak or something, as I'm going through the day, but that's about it. Hold on 1 second, man. I gotta answer this.
All right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought that was my
You
I thought that was my dentist office calling me, but
you're
obviously
good.
not. Um, but yeah, man, I would, like I said, I would have like, a piece of steak. I would have like a grape tomato here or there. I had to taste a lot of stuff,
Right.
throughout the day. You guys would pass me a spoon and say, taste this or taste that. And that was basically all I ever did when I was at work because I wanted to have an empty stomach so that when I did drink, I digested that alcohol right away. And I liked that way the liquor felt when it went down my throat and went
That
into
burn
that burn into an empty belly. I loved the way that felt. I wanted to
warms you up.
feel, huh?
It warms you up.
It does. And you get that
Yeah.
like burn in your empty stomach and like
Yeah.
that I loved that feeling. So I never wanted to have a drink because I never knew when my next drink was coming around the corner. Uh, because I got into, like I said, I got to that point to where, dude, I had those little mini bottles of Fireball in my socks every day.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Did not
you,
know that.
yeah, they were in my. I'd have one in each leg,
Yeah.
if not a couple. And what I would do is I would go to work. I had those mini bottles in my Jeep, and as I pulled up in the morning, I would start stuffing those mini bottles into my socks. Sometimes I'd walk in there with six of them in my sock. I would walk in, speak to you guys for a minute, walk out to the cooler, walk into the freezer, take the mini bottles out of my socks, and find a little place in the freezer, like back behind all that frozen miscellaneous stuff that we used to have, because I knew nobody would ever dig in there.
Yeah.
I'd start stashing mini bottles back in all that miscellaneous stuff, because I'm like, nobody's ever gonna look back there. So I had all my mini bottles already tucked away in the freezer. They're getting icy cold for me for, my afternoon lunch snack. And they were already in there. And that was, and then, like, because you guys knew after lunch was over was the first place I went.
Oh, the bathroom.
I went to the bathroom. So before I went to the bathroom, I walked out to the freezer, grabbed one of those little snacks. I used to call them little Scooby snack. I'd grab,
Scooby snacks.
yeah, I'd go out there and grab my Scooby snack, throw it in my pocket, and I walked out to the croquet bathroom. And while I was out there, blowing my brains out in the toilet, I was taking a shot of liquor.
So when we were talking earlier about like patterns you get into, you were notorious for doing this every Sunday. You would be cooking brunch. We started brunch early on Sundays. We had build your own omelets. So you'd have a million different omelets going on a 10 burner range at a time. But it would get to a certain point of the day, around like 12:45, 1 o'clock, and you would take some omelets and we would flip them, put cheese on them, and just set them in the oven to melt the cheese. You would put 3 or 4 omelets in there and be like, I gotta go to the bathroom, and just leave and not tell anybody you had omelets in the oven. So when the other cook or myself would go over, we would start reading tickets and we would start doing the food. We would just open up the oven and throw some in there, and you would have like 4 or 5 burned omelets that you
Yeah,
just didn't say anything to anybody about because you had to run to the bathroom for whatever you had to go for. And it was
yeah.
every single Sunday that this happened.
I would imagine if it was a Sunday, I got wrecked the night before.
The night before, right?
Yeah, I was really going to the bathroom because like my stomach was so messed up. Because
Yeah,
every single Sunday brunch, man, I felt so bad. I
yeah,
mean, I would, because I already knew, because Sundays I always left at like 4 o'clock, 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, unless we
yeah,
had something like it was a really busy night that night, or we had a big party or something like that. But Sundays were my day that I left early. So
yeah,
I knew I'd already made it to my point to where like I get to leave early today. So like, you know, Saturday night I got wasted, man. And Sundays was always such a rough day to me. It was like the worst day of the week for me. Every week was Sunday.
yeah.
But since we're here on this topic, we need to go ahead and pause for another go round. So let's go ahead and stop here for the second part of our talk. And I
Yeah.
just want to say thank you so much to everybody for watching this. I really do appreciate it. And I want to thank you again, Zach, for coming on. I
My
really do
pleasure, bro.
appreciate you being here, man. You've already spent almost 2 hours talking with me already on here on your day off, and I really do appreciate it. And
Of course.
we're gonna come back again for another segment. So I just want to say thank you so much again for coming on, and thank you so much to everybody who's watched this. Like I said, it was a great opportunity for somebody that used to work with me back in the day to come on and tell you guys that I really really was like that. I mean, when I say that I used to drink like that, I'm not kidding. So guys, hang tight, and we'll be back for the third part. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you on the next segment.